Senator from Illinois.
Are we in a quorum call?
We are.
Ask consent that it be suspended.
Without objection.
Thank you. Mr. President, one of our important responsibilities in Congress is to protect American consumers. But allies of big business and Wall Street, who always fear threats to their bottom lines, have been working overtime to convince consumers that a bill that I've introduced with Senator Marshall, the Credit Card Competition Act, will do more harm than good. The latest tactic, they're recruiting allies from the airline industry. United Airlines CEO Scott Kirby recently said that our bill would, quote, kill rewards programs, end quote. Let me be very clear, this is false. Moreover, this past July, Forbes published an article saying that compared to other nations, airline rewards programs in the United States have made it more challenging to earn and redeem miles. Because while the airline industry is trying to argue that my bill would stifle competition in their loyalty programs, it is actually their own questionable practices that threaten American consumers' ability to redeem rewards. Let me explain. The airline industry knows how much consumers value rewards programs. Over 100 million Americans participate. These programs originated as a way to reward true frequent flyers for their loyalty and patronage, and today millions of Americans participate. But these programs have evolved to include co-branded credit cards that focus on dollars spent using those cards. Mr. President, you and I spend a big part of our lives on airplanes. I don't know about your experience, but I'll tell you what mine is. As soon as they have us in our seats, buckled in, they start advertising their credit cards. And I've seen times when flight attendants walk up and down the aisles passing out brochures for people to consider enlisting in their credit card program. And then as you're leaving the plane, they're there once again passing them out. They seem to focus as much on credit cards as they do on safety in these airplanes. You have to ask yourself why. It turns out there's one basic reason for it. Airlines make more money off the co-branded credit cards they issue than they do from aviation programs. At the same time, they're showing troubling reports that airlines use their loyalty programs to engage in abusive, unfair, and sometimes deceptive practices. Airlines incentivize Americans to purchase goods and services, obtain certain credit cards, and spend as much money as they can on the cards in exchange for promised rewards. And all the while, they retain the right to strip consumers of these rewards or alter the terms of the programs at will. For example, there are troubling reports that airlines may be devaluing the miles that you accumulate, making it harder for consumers to ever achieve promised rewards. At certain times, the cost of purchasing points from airlines' websites may be up to 3 times the value of the points at redemption. This is a ripoff with wings. We must do more to protect American consumers. In October, I wrote to the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, to express my concern about these unfair practices. And in March, he replied, I was pleased to read that DOT's Office of Aviation Consumer Protection is using its authority to initiate a review of airlines' reward programs. DOT has been meeting with major U.S. airlines to get more information on exactly how these frequent flyer programs work. Secretary Buttigieg shared with me that DOT has the necessary authority to investigate the programs and take enforcement. The Secretary also announced a joint hearing with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That's good news for consumers. That meeting took place this morning to discuss airline credit cards and frequent flyer programs with industry representatives, labor leaders, and consumers. These are important steps forward in the conversation, and I thank Secretary Buttigieg for showing this initiative. Just last week, I had a chance to raise the issue directly with him at an open hearing of the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee. Once again, I was glad to hear the Department of Transportation also is concerned with airline shady practices and seeks to protect Americans. This week, the Senate's been considering the FAA reauthorization bill. I support a provision which made the final bill that would create a Senate-confirmed Assistant Secretary for the Department of Transportation's Office of Aviation Consumer Protection. I think it's important to put somebody in this post who can have better oversight of frequent flyer programs for the consumers of America. We should pass a reauthorization bill as quickly as possible to ensure there's no lapse in resources for our nation's airports, air traffic controllers, the aviation industry, and all the passengers. Employed by the credit card and airline industry, critics have accused me of jeopardizing America's airline rewards with my idea of competition on credit cards. This isn't true. Modern-day airlines have become credit card companies that also happen to own airplanes. And it's their deceptive practices that threaten Americans' ability to redeem rewards that they have earned. I'm committed to holding both industries accountable for exploiting hardworking consumers to further line their own pockets. I yield the floor. Suggest the absence of a quorum.
We'll call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin.